This is Gemara Baba Basra Daf Kof Chav Tes. And we're holding the bottom of Kof Chav Chesam and Beis. Learning should bring an incredible Rafua Shalima for Tinoik ben Miriam Ahuva B'siyata Dishmaya. The Koyach HaTorah, which of course knows no bounds, should perform incredible Yeshuais, bringing a complete Rafua Shalima for Tinoik ben Miriam Ahuva. Holding the bottom of Kof Chav Chesam and Beis. And yes, few people have reached out. If you'd like to sponsor or partner with a shir, feel free to reach out. We will respond, and it is our pleasure. On the bottom of Kuf Chal Chesem Beis, let's just go back from 5 lines from the bottom. Darash Marzucha Mishmei Derav Simi Barashi Hilchsav Chani Shmaitza. If you remember yesterday, we had 7 different dinim. Kedeshach Le Rav Abba, the Rav Yosef Barachama. They pass like Rav Abba in each and every case. Omerle Ravina the Rav Ashi the Rav Nachman Mai. What about the case of Rav Nachman who said the Baal Chayvs cannot collect from the Avodim that were left as the Yerusha by the one that was in Iftar? Says the Gemara. Omerle Ein Goivin Masnin Alai. No. He said, Ein Goivim. So therefore, we could paskin like Rav Abba, because it's Ein Goivim. You don't collect. V'chein Amar Rav Nachman, so now Rav Abba and Rav Nachman are both saying the same thing. And that is the Psar Halacha. Says the Gemara v'halchsa lafukimai. So what's the halacha coming to exclude? Says the Gemara as we turn over to Kuf Chav Tes Amid Aleph. If it's coming to exclude from Rava, and as the Rashbam spells out, if you remember, we had a machlok as whether a shlishi, a third level relative, could testify only about a karoiv who's a sheni or even a rishayin. So if you're going to tell me there are pots like Rav Abba, which comes to say not like Rava, because Rava said that you can even testify about a rishayin. Asks the Gemara, Maisevu. Rava's adding on to Rav Abba, who says Rav Abba disagrees. So paskening Rav Abba would not indicate necessarily that we're not paskening like Rava. And he demar baravashi, and if it's that we're excluding from Mar baravashi, lachsos like Mar baravashi. But in general, we don't pasken that way. And he lafukim with the Shmuel. Rav Sheishes, Rav Papa, but in each of those cases that the dinim were relevant to Shmuel, Rav Sheishes, and Rav Papa, the Bryce already asked on them. Says the Gemara, Elav Lafuki Mid Rav Yechlan must be we're excluding from Rav Yechlan with Fakta Demar Bar Rav Hashi, and to say not like the Kasha of Mar Bar Rav Ashi, as Rashbam points out, who said, "Damar lemeimar vaday mishavedu v'lasachzchavasei kivadakati kishahoida loy duedim loy komisay leika lemeimar demersas minayu sheini demabalibam keravabo." So that's what's coming to say to Fuke like Rav, the opinion of Rav Yechlan in that final shayla, which was the shayla of the Meisha Aved, at what level we considered a Idab and Mixas, and therefore give him an Amanis or not. We continue 5 lines from the top, the 2 dots, quoting the Mishnah again. If someone gives away his properties, then he's allowed to give one a little bit more to one, a little bit more to the next, etc. Says the Gemara, Hechidami. What exactly is this case? And this is honing in on the fact that the Mishnah continued, and the Mishnah was machalek. The Mishnah differentiated between giving it away as a Yerusha versus giving it away as a matana. But when it's a matana, everything works. Hechidami matana b'tzchila. So what did it mean in the Mishnah? If it's a matana in the beginning, matana be'emsa, matana b'soif, b'soif. Now we're really going to get clarity what exactly were the original cases in the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Rav Dimi Rav Yechanan, as follows. Tinasin, so the plain is the plaini. If he says such field should be given to plaini, sada plaini le plaini, v'yirsha, and that person should inherit it. Zui matana betchila. He started bilashain with the language of a gift, and he ended with Yerusha. Yersha v'tinasin la. If he says such person should inherit it, and it should be given to him. Zui matana basaif. He first said Yerusha, then he said matana. Yersha v'tinasin like Yersha zui matana ve'emsan. Those are the three cases in the Mishnah. Continues the Gemara explaining a little bit more. V'davka b'adam echad v'sada achas. And davka, where when we're discussing the matana, we're discussing the Yerusha. When we're talking about giving away this field, either as a gift or as an inheritance, the din that we just said is only when it's being given to one person and one field. Aval, however, but if it's given either to two fields or to two different people, then this halacha does not apply. Why? Because now it could be those two lishainais, the language of matana, the language of Yerusha, could be talking about two different people or two different fields. But Rav Elazar has the same halacha like we said. Aval, but Rav Elazar old b'shtei sads v'shnei b'nei adam, then loy, because then there's no way to say that they're all referring to one. And therefore, we're going to have to split up the Lashon of Matan and the Lashon of Yerusha. Ki asa Ravin Amar as follows. Tinasein sada plainis la plaini v'yirish plaini sada plainis. If he said, give this in this field, inherit this in this field to this person, Rav Yechon Amar Kana, Rav Elazar Amar Loi Kana, seemingly very similar to our Mishnah. But this is a case of two fields and two people, because both were said in the plural. Tinasi sada plainis le plaini virish plaini sada plainis. So what do we see? We see that he's talking to two different people in two different fields. So we have a machlekes. Rav Yechanan says it works. Rav Elazar says it does not. Amar le Abaye le Ravin. So Abaye says to Ravin, you made one thing understandable, and one is a kasha. She's telling me a case of two fields with two people. Says Abaye, one thing is making things better, one thing is making things shver. There's no stira in Rav Elazar. Why? Because we could simply say there's no kasha. Fact, Rav Elazar you just quoted saying his kana is not shver, because we could say one is talking about one person, one is talking about two people. Al Rav Yechanan kasha, both in Rav Yechanan it's a stira, because we just finished saying a moment ago that according to Rav Yechanan it's not going to that because we just finished saying that over here according to Rav Yechanan it is kana, but a moment ago we said like kana. Says the Gemara, that there's different Amarayim explaining what is the opinion of Rav Yechanan. It's machlokes Rav Dimi and Ravin. What exactly Rav Yechanan held? So says the Gemara, Reish Lakish Amar, another shita. Says Reish Lakish, in such a scenario where there's a lashon Yerusha, a lashon matana, we're trying to figure out what to do with his words. Loikana shemer plaini uplaini yershu sada plainis uplainis shenesatim lahem bematana v'yirshum. Says Reish Lakish, it has to be extremely clear. Only when he says plaini uplaini, clearly delineating the person he's talking about. And then he explains, Yershu sada plainis uplainis is inheriting this specific field. And then he explains, how is he inheriting that specific field? Shetina sein lohem bimatana. because I am giving it to him as a very clear matana, v'yirshom, and they shall inherit them. Only in such a scenario, says Rish Lakish, does it work. And says the Gemara, so now we have multiple opinions how we could split up his words of Yerusha Matana. Beplukta, when we said prior, what is the machlekes? Amar Avahu Mnuna lo shel adam echad sada achas. Adam echad shtei sada achas shnei bnei adam loy. That's opinion number one. Rav Nachman Amar Afilu Adam Echad Shtei Sada Achas Shnei Bnei Adam is a machlekes. Aval Shtei Sada Shnei Bnei Adam Lai. But Rav Sheishes Amar Afilu Shtei Sada Shnei Bnei Adam is a machlekes. So we have three different ways of learning where exactly is the aforementioned discussion. Amar Rav Sheishes. So says Rav Sheishes, even when we have Shnei Bnei Adam and Shtei Sadais, Rish Lakish, if Sheshes holds it could work, says Rish Lakish, if Sheshes minamin, how do I know this? The Tanya. We learned in our brayso 2 lines of the bottom. If someone says, someone tells the person in charge of the estate, I'm giving a shekel to my son each week, but really, he should be giving them more than a shekel. Give them what they're right to get, what they really deserve. Really, tin sela, noisin lahem sela. Omar v'im Omar, and if he says I'll take nulam el shekel, don't give them only a shekel. He limits it precisely. Inostam el shekel. Then lemaisa, we have to listen to him. V'im Omar, but if he says v'im Omar im mesu. But if he says that if the kids die, and we turn over to Kov Chavtes Amid Beis, that it means what? Yirshu Achirim Tachteim. Bein Shamar Tnu. Bein Shamar Al Tenu Inasam El Shekel. If the father says, give my son such and such a shekel, and really he should be giving them 2 shkalim, a sela. Says the Gemara, but if he continued and he said, but after their patir, I wanted to go to such and such person. So the father clearly showing that he wants there to be something left off. As the Tab Rashbam speaks out, Kaliya Daite, he's revealing the Nichale B'Tzimtzum Tfei. Yes, he might be wealthy, but he wants it to be precise. Then we listen to his precise words. So says Rav Sheshes on the 3rd line of Kochat Asam and Beis Adam Dami. This is comparable to 2 different people and 2 different fields. Vikatani dekani. And what do we see? We see there's a Kenyan. So says Rav Sheshes, even Shnei B'Adam Shtei Sadais, it will work. Humaisiv la v'humefarik la. Says the Gemara, Sheshes himself asked the Kasha on what he said, and Sheshes himself explains, B'ra'oi li yarshai. He says that no, the Bryce is discussing where the second party is ra'oi, is fit to inherit it. Rav Yechlan ben Broiki, and this is going with the opinion of Rav Yechlan ben Broika, who holds that when it's ra'oi, you're able to give it to him even if you never said tenu at all. That is the reason why in this case it's going to work, and therefore there's no raya over here to Rav Sheshes. We look at the Rashbam for a moment, and he explains, it's not because it works what he said to other guys, just because the roi kiyumbanav echidam kiyum the l'shnayim mibanav siva losi shekel b'shabbos emesu yirish echad sharbanav kol hamutar hamoiser v'avkav diika oid banam acherim v'kinami banam lahanu shemesu Chav Yecham ben Broika. Sorry, that was all the case. Says Chav Yecham ben Broika l'kaman dimamer al ben bein habanim Yirish kol nachasai dvarav kayomim, and that's the sheet that this price is going with. So it's not necessarily a raya to Rav Sheshes. Shekel. Why? 4 lines to the medium-sized line. Therefore, this price will not be able to be a raya to Rav Sheshes. And we go from there, and we just lost the Amid. Where is it? Okay, here it is. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Sheshes, Amar Rav Ashi, excuse me. Amar Rav Ashi. One second, let's organize things over here. Amar Rav Ashi. Here we go. So says the Gemara, let's bring a different raya to Rav Sheshes again. Shnei bnei Adam shnei sadais. Lashon matan lashon yerusha will work. Tashema nechasei lecha. Someone says that my property should be given to you after I am nifter. Yireish v'acharecha. Excuse me, yireish pliny. And after you should go to pliny. V'acharecha yireish pliny. And after you, that person should go to someone else. Meis Rishayim, when the first person dies, Kana Sheni, Mei Sheni, Kana Shlishi, V'mei Sheni, B'chaye Rishayin. Now what do you do? Because the whole point was it goes to the second guy after the first guy. But the second guy dies while the first guy's alive. Yasur Chasim Liyarshe Risha. Then the first Yarshim, first guy, it stays in his family. V'acha, says the Gemara, but how does this work? V'acha, but this case is what? And yet, what does it say? V'katani. Yet it says the Kanis, we have a right to Rav Sheshes. Says the Gemara, wait, maybe you're going to tell me, and therefore, it's not a raya. But if it's true that we're only going to Rav Yechonam and Breika, that the reason why it would continue is because it's ra'ui. But says the Gemara, but the case said that Meisheni Kana Shlishi. But Hashalach Ravacha, Braid Rav Avia, Ledivri Rav Yechonam and Breika. Nachase Lachav Achrecha Leploini. Verishan Rayu Liyarshay Ein Lesheni Makam Rishan Klum. Why? Shein Lezel Lashon Matana. Ella Lashon Yerusha. Of Yerusha Ein La Hefsik. So according to Rav Yechonam and Breika, this is going to be really the sugya on tomorrow's daf, where we're going to see the makar of Yechonam and Breika. But Rav Yechonam and Breika would hold it would not go to the Shlishi. And the reason is because since the Sheni, there's no Lashon Matanatim Lashon Yerusha, therefore Yerusha Ein La Hefsik, therefore it would not go down to the Shlishi. So it cannot be according to Rav Yechonam and Breika. So this Brisa says Rav Sheshes L'chayr is a klar raya to me that when we have Shnei Thadais and Shnei Bnei Adam, that it was given Lashon Yerusha Lashon Matana, the original Lashon Matana works. Tiyofta dekolu tiyofta, says the Gemara. All the other Amarayim who said Shnei Thadais Shnei Bnei Adam would now work is a kasha, and it's a klar raya to Rav Sheshes that says it does work. Says the Gemara, Leiman Avituvta the Reish Lakish. Is it a kasha on Reish Lakish as well? Vitizbra, says the Gemara, could it actually be a kasha Reish Lakish? V'amar Rava, also like I would say the Reish Lakish Vani Talas. So how can we paskening like Reish Lakish? You can tell me it's a kasha. Says the Gemara, Loi kasha, kan betoich kedei dibur, kan li achar kedei dibur. When Reish Lakish is talking about that he said that when you give a Lashon Matana, it does not work. It's La'achar K'dei Dibur. And when are we referring to that it does work? When it is Toich K'dei Dibur. So Toich K'dei Dibur, when you say something, it could reinterpret your words. When Reish Lakish said no, it's because it was La'achar K'dei Dibur. The Elchasa says the Gemara Klal in general. Called Toich Kedei Dibur Kedibur Dami, a very, very famous klala in halacha. This is the reason why we know that when you change something right away, we're middle of Mashav Ruach and Mayir Tal season, for right away you fix it, it's considered change because it's Toich Kedei Dibur. Well, it's not such a good example because Mayir Tal would have worked. But either way, Levar me'avodas chavim, except for someone says something regarding avodah zara. That with regard to Hanav from Avodah Zara, then as the bottom Rashbam tells Shem Mitvis Ayexis Davar Avodas Chavim Mitach Dibur Chazar Boy Filachin Nesra Mishum Chumra Avodas Chavim, special Chumra of Shakis to Shaksenu, if something was at all ever given to Avodas Chavim, even if you're Chayzer immediately, it will not work. And Kedushin. And when it comes to Kedushin, there are other Girsais over here that add in. What's the other Girsa here add in? I can't find this. The Var Me'avodas Kachavim and what? What does the Bach say on the side? Ukedushin. I don't know what the other gear says. But either way, let's just look at the top Rashbam before we call it a day. Top Rashbam spells out that what's this Kedushin? Shem Kidesh Isha B'fnei Shayim. If someone marries a woman in front of two people. No, I didn't mean to be Mekadesh, I'm just giving you a gift. Why? You're allowed to reinterpret your words. You never want someone to say, oh, maybe there was a Kedushin. Special Chum there by Kedushin and by Avodas Chavim. But in general, one could, yes, modify his words of Dibur. And we'll pick it up from the Mishnah, which, of course, just by glancing at it, you already see this is going to be the Mishnah of Yochanan and Breika, B'siyata Dishmaya, in tomorrow's Shir, Amirta Hashem.